As a college student going into her second year, I wish that back when I was going into high school, I would have had this video to watch. So if you are someone who is growing their faith and going back to high school, then I have 5 things that I really want you to remember for this back to school season. Hi, my name is Michelda and welcome back to this channel. I wanted to make a back to school video for this year, and I was trying to sit and think about what would be something that's super valuable for students, whether it's college or high school. I didn't want to do just like a basic back to school advice kind of video. I wanted to center faith into it because as a high schooler, that's something that I wish that I would have been able to see. It took me until after I graduated high school to really understand that having a relationship with the Lord is something that could be my own. It's not just going to church with my parents and reading the Bible with my family. It's that I could have alone time with the Lord as well and grow my faith and make it mine. So I just wanted to make a video with 5 tips that can help you throughout the school year to make your faith your own. So I have my notes here on my iPad, and then I have my Bible. Also, feel free to have your Bible out because I'm going to be dropping some biblical gems. So my first tip for any of you high schoolers going back to school this year would be don't let school become your identity. When we're in high school, a lot of the times the biggest thing that we're thinking about is our appearance, our popularity, what classes we're taking, what our social media looks like. Like, these are things that we always hold in the forefront of our minds. Even though the general public of high school holds that as something of value, it's important that you know you are already made perfectly in God's image. Now, this still means that it's okay to strive to be the best you can be and do well academically. You should not be tying your value to your grades. I'm sure everyone knows that you have to be very kind and easy to yourself when you don't succeed, but in those moments of when you feel like you've let someone down or let yourself down, it is always good to know that the Lord already sees you as perfect. So there's nothing that you have to prove to him, and there's nothing that you have to hold up in status to him, because you are already seen perfect in his eyes. So I have 2 verses that I want you to remember. The first one is Galatians chapter 1 verse 10, and it says, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." We can clearly see that there are things more important than human approval or the approval of our teachers or classmates. We're called to be servants of Christ, meaning that everything we do should honor him. During the year, when you have a moment and you stop and think of, oh, what is so-and-so gonna say? Or, oh my gosh, I got a bad grade. Or what if my class rank goes down or something? Just knowing that we are held with so much more value than a grade on a test or a number on a scoreboard in your sport. We are called for much greater things than just that. And keeping that in your mind during your school year will definitely make it go so much easier. The second verse that I want you to remember is Psalms 139 verse 14, and it says, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." This is a perfect verse to pull out when you need assurance of who you are and what your value is and just how the Lord sees you. And clearly it says that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, knowing that you are wonderful in God's eyes, and that is the most important thing that you can carry with you this school year. So my second tip for this year is to be careful who you let influence you. I think one of the biggest things that we face in high school is peer pressure and the fear of missing out and just feeling like we have to be where the majority is, because that's how you fit in, is to just be on the same wavelength as everybody else. No one really wants to stand out. But you do not have to do everything that your friends are doing. This does not mean that you cannot have fun or you can't enjoy yourself and going to activities. You can, but if you feel like the place where your friend is going isn't some place that you want to be seen at, or you know that the people who are going to be there aren't people that you typically hang out with because they don't live their life the same you do or have the same interests that you do, then you do not have to push yourself into an uncomfortable place to feel like that's the way you have to fit in. It is very important for you as a Christian to pay attention to what your friends are encouraging you to do. Sometimes you get that feeling in your stomach or that voice in your head that knows that this thing that they want to do isn't something that you want to partake in, and you can protect your peace by not involving yourself. A verse that perfectly and clearly displays this is 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, and it says, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." I really like this verse because even for me now in college, it's saying that you don't have to compromise your conviction in order to fit in. Now, you can still love your friends, but not copy everything that they do. Sometimes we feel like, oh no, because I'm not on the same wavelength in my faith as my friend, then I cannot be friends with them anymore, or I can't love them anymore. No, this is actually a perfect place where you can test your faith and you can pray for them. You can ask them if they're doing okay, or you can ask them if there's any place in their lives that you can pray for them. Now, some people do just want to jump into, a different type of lifestyle, and I think it's a good place to communicate that with your friends that you won't be involved in those certain activities because that's just not something that you like to do. And a tip that I would just remember is if you feel like you have to be a completely different person just to keep your friends, then I would say that's the point of keeping in mind if there's still someone that you want to keep around. The third tip that I have for your school year is don't be ashamed of your faith. I know being a Christian and being in high school, it can feel like you're just going against the grain and that everything else that the majority likes just doesn't exactly go well with you. But it is very important that you are public and bold about your faith, because it's something that's good and that should be talked about. And sometimes a lot of people are thinking the same thing, or a lot of people do want to hear about Jesus, but they just don't feel comfortable to. So you being the person who is open and loving, then that can allow a group of people to kind of be influenced by your character. Now, in these moments, you do have to let your character speak for your faith as well. That does not mean that you get to judge everyone who isn't a Christian or feel like you should tell them that they're living their life the wrong way. That is not what we are called to do. It's important to let your kindness and your honesty speak for itself. Once they see you being that light, it will inspire them to also lead their lives that way. Matthew chapter 5 verse 16 says, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." As Christians, we are called to be the light of the world. The light within us is supposed to stand out and speak for itself. So just always remember your character and the way that you go about your day and treat others is one of the most important things that you can focus on as a Christian. Now, the fourth and biggest piece of advice that I would give you for going back to school is don't neglect God because you're too busy. Now, this is a big one for back to school because, we often say, I'll pray when I get home, or I'll read my Bible after I finish my homework, and we just keep making more and more excuses as to why we can't spend time with God. My tip would be to create a realistic routine that you can implement the Lord in your day-to-day. Obviously, waking up at 4 a.m. and reading your Bible before school might be a little difficult because you could still be tired, but making sure that you can place it into your day is extremely important and is a great way to positively set up your day. Some things you could do is, if you don't have time to really sit down and read your Bible, you can go onto a Bible app and listen to the audio recording of it, maybe while you're getting ready, before you get up out of bed, taking just a couple minutes to just close your eyes and pray and thank God for waking you up this morning, or your education, that you're able to get up and get ready to go to school. You can also pray as you're on your way out the door, maybe if you walk to school or if you are on a bus, you can just kind of take a second to just close your eyes and pray. Or if you drive to school, you know, still like praying in the car. Something that I love to implement is listening to worship music as I'm getting ready. It's a great way to honor God and take that time to connect with Him and give Him glory in a way that doesn't feel like you are taking time away from getting ready. Now, a verse that I have for this is Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, and it says, "But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." I really like this verse because it talks about the importance of seeking the Lord and seeking His presence, and that is extremely important because sometimes you wake up before school and you're thinking about a test you have to take later that day or a game you have after school, and you just kind of get nervous and you kind of sit and you dwell in it all day. But this verse is just clearly saying to seek Him first, and all the things that you are looking for, peace and the assurance, it will all be given to you. The last piece of advice that I want to give you before you go back to school this year is pray about your school year before it starts. Now, I know some of you high schoolers have already gone back to school, or maybe this is your first week going back, but still, praying about the trajectory of your year before you start school is incredibly important. This will help you throughout your year keep the mindset that whatever is to happen during the year is God's will. Whatever you're looking for or striving for this year is already in God's hands. And I think that praying over your school year is such an important thing that sometimes you can forget to do before it starts, but it is genuinely setting you up for the best year that you could possibly have. Now you may think, how can I pray for my entire school year? What are the exact things that I can be intentional about praying about? And some things that you can pray about are your friendships, your teachers, your grades, your mental focus, your decisions that you'll make this year, or the opportunities that might come across you this year. Good or bad, know that it's there to teach you a lesson. Know that it's making you stronger in your faith, and knowing that the Lord is going to guide you through all of it. Now, I actually have a prayer for this, and a little example prayer can be to just say, "Lord, let me be where you want me to be and use me how you want to use me." This is so important because it is just laying the fact that wherever you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Whatever happens to you is intentional, and it is there to teach you something. And it helps you live a kind of regret-free year, you know, not thinking that, oh man, I wish I would have done this differently. There's going to be things that you wish didn't happen, but just knowing that they are all set in your path to make you a better person is something that will change the trajectory of your year for the better. So those are all of the tips that I have for you guys this back to school year. Please let me know what grades you guys are going into and maybe anything that you want me to pray for you guys for. I just know that all of you guys are going to have a great back to school year. If you do just some of the things in this video, your life will genuinely change for the better. And it is so important that you are doing these things not for anybody else, but all of these things are for you. They are there to better you and the people who are around you. Once you take care of yourself, it'll show around, and it'll kind of be like a catching fire, and all those good vibes will just spread all around you to your friends and to your family and to your church friends and all the things like that. So please leave a like on this video, and also follow me on all my socials so that you can see more videos from me. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you next time. Bye.